Jim Croce, a president is sworn in, and Hurricane Maria are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is September 20th, 2022. It is the 263rd day of the year. There are 102 days left in 2022. It is the 38th Tuesday in the 38th week and the 92nd day of summer. You got 2 days left until fall. If today's your birthstone is still a sapphire. I lived on Sapphire Street for a long time. Today is National Punch Day. On September 20th, National Punch Day goes in several directions. While one perspective suggests honoring tools used to make holes, another points to a day created to throw a few punches at a punching bag. I'm not suggesting you go punch someone on National Punch Day, but there is another type of punch, the drink, and I'm going to read what it says from their website. It's great. Punch is a thirst-quenching drink that sparkles with celebration. I thought that was eggnog, but I guess it's punch. A wide assortment of drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, fall under the category of punch. It is a combination of fruit juices and carbonated beverages. It can be colorful, bubbly, and is a staple of a party or other celebrations. Punch first showed up in the 17th century. It's believed that sailors en route to England via India created the drink. Punch quickly grew in popularity and soon spread to other countries. The word punch is a loan word from Hindi, paunch, meaning 5. Originally, punch was made of 5 ingredients: alcohol, sugar, lemon, water, and tea or spices. All right, let's see what else September 20th has given us. 1881, U.S. President Chester A. Arthur is sworn in upon the death of James A. Garfield the previous day. 1946, the first Cannes Film Festival, or Cannes, is held, having been delayed 7 years due to World War II. Yeah, they had plans to do it before World War II, and kind of threw a wrench into their plans. You can find some of the most amazing films that were shown and won a lot of awards at the Cannes Film Festival, but they really didn't have commercial success. One of those, which is one of my favorites, is The Tree of Life with Brad Pitt. Great movie. It didn't do well in the box office, but it is an amazing movie. It's a little too artsy, I guess, for people. And there were no superheroes involved, so yeah, that kind of kills a movie these days. It's a great movie, though. It focuses on a 1950s family and kind of like explores the meaning of life. The Piano in 1993 is another great one. The Conversation with Gene Hackman and Harrison Ford's in there, that one's great. It probably would have won a lot more awards, but it was up against The Godfather Part 2. Nothing wins against The Godfather Part 2. Pulp Fiction and Apocalypse Now were two really big ones at the Cannes Film Festival. 1967, the Queen Elizabeth II is launched at Clydebank, Scotland. 1973, singer Jim Croce and 5 others die when their light aircraft crashes on takeoff in Louisiana. So if you don't know about Jim Croce was a superstar for the most part back in the early 1970s. He was a singer-songwriter that was pop music and folk all at the same time. He wrote ballads and he sang beautifully. I grew up listening to him with my mom. She always had something like that on the stereo in the car at the house, something like that. I knew Jim Croce long before I knew really what music was all about. And this was a really sad situation. He had a son that was just under 2 years old. He had a new wife. He lived on a farm in Pennsylvania and was pretty much at the height of his career when this happened. So many musicians back in the day had died in plane accidents. I mean, you had obviously Buddy Holly years before, and then you had Leonard Skinner plane accident, and then this Jim Croce one. Oddly enough, there have been so many. Randy Rhoads, who was part of Ozzy Osbourne, that was in 82. Otis Redding, 1967. Jim Reeves in 1964. Patsy Cline in 1963. And we just talked about Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper in 1959. And then even Glenn Miller, the big band guy, in 1944. Wow, and as I'm thinking about this, you also had Ricky Nelson from Ozzy and Harriet. He was also a singer. He died in a plane accident in 1985. Paul Dean Martin, former member of the 1960s band Dino, Desi, and Billy, and was son of entertainer Dean Martin. He was killed in a plane accident. Of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan. John Denver, the R&B singer Aaliyah, was killed in 2001 in a plane accident in the Bahamas. So many people died in plane accidents that are famous. It's strange. But Jim Croce was just another one of those tales. He's at the height of his career, and this happened, leaving his wife and son without much support. He was just gaining popularity, so they really didn't have millions of dollars set aside. I watched this thing on his son, who's now a musician. That man had a tragic life. He loses his father before he's 2 years old. He loses his sight at age 4 after his mom's new husband decided to hit him in the head. He did regain his sight. His house burnt down, and he loses his wife to cancer. So yeah, pretty sad. But his father, Jim Croce, was a very interesting character. He really didn't get into music until he got into college. I mean, he liked music and he played music, but he really didn't focus on it till he got into college at Villanova. There he was part of a couple a cappella groups, things like that, and then started playing coffee houses and sorority and fraternity parties, things like that. After college, he joined the National Guard so he wouldn't be deployed to Vietnam. He, figured he'd stay in states with the National Guard, which was true, but he really wasn't into authority and actually had to do basic training twice. In the Army, we call that a recycle. Anyway, on the night of Thursday, September 20th, 1973, during Jim Croce's Life and Times tour, and the day before his ABC signal, I Got a Name, was released, Croce and 5 others were killed when their chartered Beechcraft E-18S crashed into the trees during takeoff, Natchitoches Regional Airport in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Croce was 30 years old. After the investigation, they determined that the pilot probably had a heart attack on takeoff. They found out that he was running late and couldn't get a taxi, so he ran all the way to the airport 3 miles away. Louisiana, I'm sure it was hot and muggy. He was 57 years old and was not in the best shape. They said combined that with the fog that had reduced vision, that's how he ended up in the trees. If you get a chance, Jim Croce's son released an album called Croce Sings Croce, and it's pretty good. I listened to it this morning. 1977, Vietnam is admitted into the United Nations. 1982, the NFL. American football players in the National Football League begin a 57-day strike. They had replacement players, and when the strike was over and the NFL season, kind of really took off, a lot of the players had positions on the teams. So a lot of these striking players basically lost their jobs. 2001, in an address to the joint session of Congress and the American people, U.S. President George W. Bush declares war on terror. 2017, Hurricane Maria makes landfall in Puerto Rico as a powerful Category 4 hurricane, resulting in 2,975 deaths and $90 billion in damages, and a major humanitarian crisis. 2019, roughly 4 million people, mostly students, demonstrate across the world to address climate change. 16-year-old Greta Thunberg from Sweden leads the demonstration in New York City. Premiered on September 20th, 2005, My Name is Earl. Easily one of the funniest shows ever put on television. If you've never seen it, it's about a man named Earl Hickey. He's a small-town thief that lives in a fictional rural town of Camden. They never say what state it is. He's a loser and he steals money from just about everyone, and he's just a loser. Well, he wins $100,000 in the lottery and is hit by a car while celebrating his good fortune. Lying in his hospital bed, he learns about karma during an episode of the talk show Last Call with Carson Daly. Convinced he has to turn his life around and be happy, Earl gives himself over to the power of karma. He makes a list of every bad thing he can remember and every person he's done it to, and he makes an effort to fix all of them. And that's what every episode was about, him going to these individuals going, look, I stole from you and I'd like to make it up to you. But it's just such a good show. Like, he picked on a guy in high school who was gay, and now he was trying to make up for it. And Earl's very much a manly man and, kind of hangs out with the wrong crowd. Well, in order to help this guy, he goes with him to a gay bar to help him meet people. And, he's doesn't want to and he totally feels uncomfortable, but he made this list and he's going to follow through with it. It's just such a great show. Well, after he does his first good deed, which I forget, it wasn't his friend Kenny from high school, it was another one, he finds his lottery ticket that he had lost when he was celebrating. So he takes that as reinforcement that, yeah, karma is real. I did something good, something rewarded me, so I got to keep going. And that's the whole premise of the show. It was so good. 4 seasons, that was it. If you get a chance, watch My Name is Earl. What's interesting is he had a list of 100, and they had 96 episodes, so I didn't really do a count, but he almost got to his 100. Born on September 20th, 1912, Ron Cochran, ABC and CBS broadcast journalist who anchored the ABC Evening News from 1962 to 1965. He gave round-the-clock coverage of JFK's assassination. He worked for the FBI for 2 years, after which he joined a Boston radio station. He worked on a few CBS News and human interest-related programs, including Man of the Week and Answer Please. He was succeeded by Peter Jennings, who would host ABC's evening newscast from 1965 to 1967, then again from 1983 to 2005. I like Peter Jennings. He died on July 25th, 1994 at the age of 81 in Lake Worth, Florida, of a heart attack. Died on September 20th, 1947, Fiorello LaGuardia, Republican politician who was the 99th mayor of New York City for 3 terms from 1934 to 1945. He also served as a member of the House of Representatives from New York's 20th District from 1923 to 1933. He went to Budapest after joining the State Department. Despite being from the opposite party, he supported FDR's New Deal, and he later had an airport named after him, which my understanding is LaGuardia Airport's gotten better. I haven't been there like 5 years, maybe less. But anyway, I haven't been there like 5 years, and every time I went there, it was like a third world country's airport. It was really weird, and it's gotten better, I guess. At least that's what people are telling me. LaGuardia died of pancreatic cancer on September 20th, 1947. He was 64 years old. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.